Okay. Welcome back to the Lenz Comic Corner, Classic, Non-Classics. This is episode number 1768. And Doubleshot number 1662. Got one Marvel trade, one DC trade. First up, it's a crossover. Well, issues from a crossover. Which is by far my favorite Marvel crossovers ever did, because good idea for a story. And they kind of followed with Acts of Evil like last year, which I thought was a really cool idea. This is Acts of Vengeance Avengers. And this collects these following books. Avengers Spotlight, issues 26-28. Avengers 311, 313. Quasar 5-7. Iron Man 251 to 252. Avengers West Coast 53-55. Mutant Miss Avengers of Cloak and Dagger number 9, which seems quite strange. Get back Cloak and Dagger and never join the Avengers. The only reason this book is here because Avengers guest started the book. That's simple the reason for it. And material from Captain America 665, 365, 367. Thor 411 to 413. Avengers A number 19. And Avengers Spotlight number 29. Basically, is a short story from that one. Let's start with Thor. This is a really cool one. Basically, a Thor versus a frickin' Juggernaut. Awesome. Yeah, he gets the crap beat out of him. Looks like he's about to lose. And then he's saved by the debut of the New Warriors. Yep, the New Warriors. And Juggernaut's like, who the heck are you guys? Yep. And they proceed to help Thor beat Juggernaut. And yeah, it's like, why do you sell him? Because we feel that we need to help out and fight for justice. And of course, basically, he does respect them. The Thor says that he earns their respect by helping him, and you can see potential in them for the future. And that potential will lead to an ongoing series wrap is like the following year, because this came out in 1989. The ongoing series started in 1990. An ongoing run that lasted 75 issues. Yep. The final issue, let's see. Well, he does, let's see, who does he fight in the finale for this thing? Well, in the case of the other parts, well, the other writers, I should point out, though, the writers of this book are Dwayne McDuffie, John Byrne, Mark Greenwald, who I believe writes the Captain America stuff, and Quasar, Howard Mankey, Tom DeFalco, Terry Osmond, Ron Fritz. The artwork is done by Dwayne Turner, Paul Ryan, who actually I think is co-writing here, Karen Doyer, John Byrne, Herb Temple, Al Mogren, Ron Fritz, Mike Vandenberg, Mike Manley, Ram Ram, Damon Cameron, and Vince McClarick. The cover art, front cover is by John Byrne and Thomas Mason. And the back cover is all John Byrne. Yep. Now, first off, with basically material from Avengers 310, we have this mysterious guy in white, which it's revealed at the end of the story this actually is Loki. Yeah, Loki was responsible for all this. And then we have a page from Thor 410. And then we have a page from Captain America 365. Now, in the case of Avengers, he recruits... It's just basically just the start of it. And you have him recruiting Doctor Doom in the Captain America book. And actually, that was in Thor. And Captain America recruits Cobra and Hyde, Mr. Hyde. Then we have the start of the saga, Avengers Spotlight number 29, where this is done by Dwayne McDuffie. Oh, and here's a fun fact about the Acts of Vengeance crossover. This led to the debut of Damage Control. Yep, they came out, they made their debut right after this crossover wrapped up. They did with all the mess that was made by the villains. So we start out basically with a massive breakout of the Vault, because one of many times the Vault had breakout. Yep, and that's pretty much the main thing of this. Like, Iron Man is here with Hawkeye, and the villains broke out, and this starts the actual... And then, basically, in 311, we have... The title of the story says, Hydra Base Destroyed. And this is Hydra Base, a.k.a. Avengers Island. Yeah, this is the base operation they had for a little while, before the base was destroyed by Doctor Doom. He sunk the damn thing in this issue. Yep. And it was only Quasar able to help defend them against this thing. And the island itself was destroyed But here's the thing. Despite the island being destroyed, they did say in a later issue, I think it was an issue of Captain America, where they decided to move all the stuff related to Avengers from the island and move it to the sub-basement of Avengers Park. You think, Avengers Park? Where's the mansion? The mansion was destroyed for the first time during the Under Siege storyline. So, after the storyline wrapped up, they moved to Avengers Island, which they were there for for a little while, and then, of course, the island was destroyed. It was sank. Yep, they sunk the damn thing. And then you have, in Acts of Vengeance, you have Namor fighting Captain America. Yes, seriously. The Man in White. And, of course, you have the Controller brought in this thing. Yes, the Controller. Which Cap does fight in the very next issue. Yeah, that's the reason why Cap fights Namor, because he's controlled by the Controller. Now, Quasar ends up fighting the Absorber Man. Quasar, if you're not familiar with this guy, great character. His entire series, his 60-issue run, except for one issue, was written by the late Mark Greenwald. This is a character he had a lot of respect for, and this is the only book he was working. It was one of the few books working around the same time he was doing Captain America. He also did some issues of Avengers. Yep. Now, I love the Quasar book. It is really good. His run name is Quentin Ball, and his power is basically the power cosmic. Excuse me. Yes. Now, if you're curious, though, when did Quasar first show up? He first showed up in an issue of The Incredible Hulk. Yes, that's when he first showed up. Yes. Well, he appeared as Quasar Incredible Hulk, number 234 in 1979, roughly 10 years before the story happened. He first appeared as Marvel Man in Captain America, number 217 the previous year. And he is a creation of Don Glut, Roy Thomas, and John Buscema. Now, John Buscema is no longer alive. He passed away 20 years ago. Don Glut is still very much alive. He basically is known for writing the novelization of Empire Strikes Back. Roy Thomas is definitely still alive. He's 81, and he still lives. Yep. So, yeah, this is definitely a story by Mark Greenwald. He wrote the story. Paul ran the artwork. Yeah, most of the story is simply Quasar dealing with stuff in his own book, where he basically is dealing with a woman who possibly likes him. Winds up fighting freaking Absorber, which I thought was a really neat idea. Him fighting the Absorber Man. And in Avengers Spotlight, you have Hawkeye. We have basically you have Hawkeye fighting Boomerang alongside of Firebird and Captain Marvel and Hellcat. The house parents by the Ghost. Yes, the Ghost. Yeah. Very interesting story this one is. And plus we have a backup story which features the Stingray called Some Assembly Squire, this is done by Dwayne McDuffie. Yeah. This one has the characters taking on, well, they basically, you could say this issue was simply put basically like a spotlight for the Avengers stuff. You have the West Coast fighting the UFO, which we'll get to that. You have Iron Man fighting the Wrecker. Yes. Who wrote this issue? Dwayne McDuffie. Yep. And this issue came out right after a two-parter where he took on Doctor Doom for the second time in his career. The first time was in 140 and 50. Yep. So, yeah, that's just this one. You have Iron versus the Wrecker, a Thor villain. Yes, a Thor villain fights him. And then, like, the very next issue, he fights Chemistro, which I believe he's also a Thor villain as well. Yep, and Iron fights against him in this issue, and that's it for Iron Man. Yeah, just 2 issues, and that's it. Moving on from there, we have Avengers West Coast, where they fight the UFOs. Now, I previously reviewed the stuff that came before this in the Epic Collection for Avengers West Coast. Yes. Now, what issues did I review per se? It was the stories related to it was a trade Vision Quest. It collected issues 38 to 52. This is kind of like what happened next per se, though I might be talking more about this when I talk about the Dark Hood and the Scarlet trade. Yep. I'll be discussing that in the future. Oh, don't worry about that. Whenever I get my hands on it, it was the second trade I talk about when it comes to the Avengers West Coast. There's about 2 more aside from Dark in the Skull, which does collect more of the series, but it hasn't been full. The series, in case you wanted Avengers West Coast, is it 100% in trade? You might ask. Most of it is. Yep, most of it's in trade. Let's see. Well, mostly, if you look at basically the first 82 issues are in trade, along with issues 89 to 102. Those are all in trade. For some reason, 83 to 88 are not in trade. I don't know why. They just are not. Yeah. But I do like the fact Marvel got a chance to collect the entire series in trade. Yeah. It's almost like the post-West Coast, Operation Galactic Storm issues. Yeah, these issues are not in trade for some reason. Don't know why. I thought that was kind of weird. Like, you have these 6 issues that, to my knowledge, not in trade for some reason. It's by far one of the most baffling things you have related to this series, Avengers West Coast. Great series, and yet there are 6 issues not in trade. Yep. Now, the X-Vengeance stuff is mostly put, like the first issue is mostly put, deals with what happened right after the Vision Quest stuff, and has to take on the UFOs. Then we have this issue right here, which is the debut of the New Warriors. This is done by Todd DeFalco. He does this great multi-parter. And here they are, the debut of New Warriors. This is after he's supposed to be Thor, but thanks to New Warriors showing up, he's like, what the heck is this? Who the heck are New Warriors? Yep. And New Warriors, after this, publication-wise, would next appear in New Warriors #1. In 3/6 for Captain America, it's simply Cap versus the Controller. Yes, which my friend Edgar, this actually is his least favorite item. He does not like this character at all. Yes. Quasar, yeah, this is kind of weird. He fights the Living Laser, Red Ghost, and Venom. Eddie Brock. Why the heck this is? It's weird. But it's Marvel. What do you expect? It's by far also... He also ends up fighting Ulysses Claw of all people. I'm like, wow. So basically, a lot of Fantastic Four villains and 1 Spider-Man villain. Next issue is even weirder. Yep. And then basically 312 is what happened after the Avengers Island was destroyed. And this is basically more of the meeting. Now, the heads of the Operation X-Vengeance are basically on Magneto, Red Skull, Kingpin, the Mandarin, the Wizard, Red Skull. Well, let's see. You have Doctor Doom, Magneto, Red Skull, Kingpin, Mandarin, and the Wizard. A lot of really big-name villains. And here's the weird thing about these characters. All but one of these characters have been in live action. You're probably thinking, who has not been live action yet? Is the Mandarin? No, he actually has been live action. It's the Wizard. Yeah. A.K.A. Bentley. He's never been in live action before. Nope. Yeah, and this issue is mostly the Avengers take on Freedom Force. It does leave some minor controversy afterwards in the book related to the X-Vengeance crossover. Yep, and then we have stuff related to the X-Vengeance stuff. Yes, and you could say basically it just... by the way, love this cover. Yes. The only reason why, like I said, the only reason why they pretty much threw this in because it's Cloak and Dagger taking on supposedly brainwashed Avengers. That's the simple reason for the reason this being here. Despite the fact this book has nothing to do with the Avengers at all. In issue 7, you have Quasar taking on the Cosmic Spider-Man for some reason. Also, he took on Terminus. Yep. Which that led to a crossover related to Terminus. Yeah. But I love Quasar. Great character. I kind of wish he actually has some trades, but there's I think of like one trade outside the collection stuff. Now 367 for Captain America. This is Cap versus Magneto. Not a bad idea to do. Yeah, which I believe this was the only time Magneto ever fought Captain America, which says something. In Avengers West Coast 54, you just have. Excuse me. By the way, this cover is a clear homage to Fantastic Four #1. Winston put the West Coast Avengers taking on the Mole Man. Yes, the Mole Man of all people. The very first fellow Fantastic Four ever fought. The Mole Man. Of course. Yep. Now, and then in Avengers Spotlight 28, we have Hawkeye and Mockingbird accused of committing thefts. And it turns out, nope, it's not them. It's actually Anger the Screamer and Screamy Mimi. You're probably thinking, Screamy Mimi? Who's that? It's Songbird. Well, it was a previous identity. And you're probably thinking, why the heck is Hawkeye in Avengers Spotlight? It was, from what I can tell anyways, a time where it's basically a bunch of solo stories for Hawkeye. Yep. And there's Screamy Mimi for you right here. That's her. In the case of Anger the Screamer, he's a Daredevil villain. And the thing is, Anger the Screamer was the first boyfriend in the Marvel Comics universe for Songbird before starting dating Abe Jenkins, a.k.a. Mach 10. Now, Wonder Man and Wasp, they take on the Mad Thinker in this backup story. Crap. Anyways, and then we have the Mighty Thor. By the way, we have another clear homage to a classic Marvel cover. We have this Mighty Thor issue 413. You have Thor versus Thor and Doctor Strange's background. This cover is a clear homage to Journey to Mystery #1, which is the first appearance of Hercules. Yep. And I think this was the only other cover that was a clear homage to a classic. Oh, by the way, love basically the tagline, what would me dwell as a monster? Which is the clear 60s nod. Plus, I love the way Doctor Strange is drawn here. It's almost like Steve Ditko drawing him all over again, which I think is fantastic. Yep. Yeah, then we have Avengers 313, basically just kind of in a way closely wrapping up the Axe Avengers stuff, this one. We had the people who participate in the Axe Avengers stuff basically just fighting each other. And then you have more wrapping up here. We have the Avengers, more Avengers taking on basically like Loki and other people. Great stuff here. Gotta love this crossover. And then finally it's wrapped up. The epilogue is told in this very story here. In a backup story in this one. Yes, it's a short story done by Mark Greenwald. It's interesting though, he writes the epilogue to this thing. Yes, he writes the epilogue to Axe Avengers of all things. Yep. And then we have another epilogue done in the pages of Avengers Spotlight. Yeah, it's a short story featuring Iron Man. It basically, for him, it's him. It just, well, the book kind of started the Avengers. It started the Axe Avengers stuff, and his is basically like going back there a few months later, and basically all the prisoners returned. There's an attempted breakout, but everybody's basically taken to the vault, which they stay at. The vault itself would exist until the late 90s, until it was destroyed in the first issue of Heroes for Hire by John Ostrander. This book is fantastic. I give this book a 10 out of 10. It is awesome. Love it. And there's one more Axe Avengers book left, and it's Axe Avengers Marvel Universe. It's the rest of the stuff here. Yes, next up is Spawn Origins Collection Volume 7. This collects issues 39 to 44. Excuse me. You have roughly 2 artists in these issues. Now, Tom McFarlane is the writer of these issues, with these 2 artists doing the artwork. You have Greg Capullo. I forgot to mention Tony Daniel basically does some co-art work in this book too. Greg Capullo does issues 39, 41, 43. That's the odd issues. The even ones done by 40, 42, and 44 are done by Tony S. Daniel. Yep. The cover art for 39, 41, 43 is done by Greg Capullo and Tom McFarlane. 40, 42, 44 is done by Tony S. Daniel and Kevin Conrad. Kevin Conrad was the inker of those issues. Yes. Now, these issues came out period of December 1995 to... Let's see. March of 1986. So, yeah, we're getting close out of like... Mostly put, this is just deals with what happens next, right after he confronted Jason Wynn. And it's suspected he might be involved with... Well, first with the Christmas story, because why not? Yes, because it's December. And you have a two-parter with Fugitives. I think it's 2 or 3-parter. Or most of it deals with the aftermath of what happened in the previous issues, where he's like confronting everybody he knew in his previous life. Yes. Because most of this issue, these issues just continuing developing the Spawn series, progressing the series forward, and also Spawn just spent a lot of time masked. He takes out his mask like once, where, by the way, he still has shoelaces in his damn face. Yeah, they still keep him there. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's all stuff here with Bill Kincaid, which that does lead somewhere. Yeah, where he's a kid, he's basically a pedophile who is able to get off on going to jail thanks to his father being a senator. Yep. And I'm thinking, the senator should resign in embarrassment for having a son who's a freaking pedophile. Yep. Yeah. And we have mostly we also have return of Angela, who's been redesigned here. Yes, with a brand spanking new attire. This is Angela. I'm sure Neil Gaiman wasn't happy with this redesign. Yes. Or basically, she refers herself as a concubine for Spawn, which is hilarious. Well, it wouldn't be very long before McFarlane would kill her off in issue 100. Yep. Let's make sure Angela holds before she dies. Yeah, possibly it's teasing what happened in issue 100. Yeah, great stuff here when it comes to Spawn. Yep, more regression for him, and still got a lot more trades to cover for coming to the Origin Collections. And if you're curious to how many Origin Collection books there are, by the way, I give this book a 9 out of 10. If you're curious, how many of these Origin Collections are there for Spawn? Good question. Because they pretty much stopped collecting these for some reason. No, I don't know why, but they did. Let's see. The Origins collection is roughly 20 volumes. Yep, 20 volumes. Yes, as for why in the world they stopped at 20 volumes, I have no idea. So, for Origins collection, how many volumes are left? If I'm at volume 7, there is exactly 13 volumes left. Yep, 13 of these damn things. Yes, and I still wonder why in the world they couldn't basically do, like, more of this stuff. They do have a hardcover version of this stuff. Yes, they do. Except this one just collects like a couple more issues, like issue 10, which was skipped. And they also collect issue 125, which that was skipped as well for some reason. I don't know why. But yeah, there was like 2 issues skipped. Actually, like 3 issues. It'll go 225. Do you think I might get a hands on these issues? It's possible to say at least. Yeah, the last one of these Origin Collections books came out roughly 5 years ago. Why in the world there isn't any more issues, I don't really know. Oh, there is no one. And apparently it came out a few years ago. Okay, it looks like it collects to 238. Apparently there's 18 volumes of this thing. Okay. Yeah. I might look at this later. But yeah, that's going to be pretty much it for this particular review. I'm going to go ahead and basically start watching Boruto since I put these videos up. and maybe I'll get time to do a review for that, and of course, another Comic Corner. But after that, I don't know if I'll get time to do Rise here. I might have to save for tomorrow at this point. Yep, this video. Bye.